recording. Okay. Oh, I thought it was ending. Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of the Final Checkpoint Podcast. This is episode 57, and each week we react to some of the latest video game news and talk about games that we are playing. My name is Joel.
And I'm Ben.
And you can find new and old episodes of this podcast on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Stitcher, and thegamefanatics.com. We also record live on Sundays, 8 p.m. Pacific time on twitch.tv/load-checkpoint. Ben, I've got another fun way to start our show this week.
I'm so excited.
This isn't going to be an every week kind of thing.
Dang it.
Last week we did the hot take thing. This week, there was another tweet that kind of went around that I figure I'd bring up. I didn't really do my version of it. I don't know if you did or not. I didn't catch it. But,
I know what you're talking about, and I thought about it, and then that was as far as I got.
It was hard to really think of it. So for all those
that
don't follow a lot of games media people on Twitter, everyone started doing their own I think it was just 4 games, but they're 10 out of 10s of the generation. Yeah. And I had a really hard time really thinking about those. And so I started, even today, I was like, man, what would I put on that list? 4 10 out of 10s. And then I started thinking, like, what if these games are already marked 10 out of 10s? Does that mean I could put them on the list or not? I wasn't sure the rules on that.
I mean, there's no rules. It's just a tweet. So
Right. But I didn't know if other people were like making up house rules or something like that. I saw a lot of Breath of the Wilds out there, so I figured that was already a 10 out of 10. So I didn't really.
I was gonna do 10 out of 10s that, like, what's the word? Like, just like uncommon 10 out of 10s.
Oh yeah.
That's what I was, and then I forgot. So
Well, maybe we could talk about it. Like I was thinking for mine, at least one that I would put on that list for sure is which you would probably put on yours, maybe, is Bloodborne.
Yep.
I think Bloodborne is a game that really, for me, took me a while to beat, but I always loved Bloodborne. I bought it at launch. It just took me so long to beat it because I just wasn't good at these types of games. The Soulsborne games, or a game that really just made you kind of like respect it. By learning the combat and taking your time and having the patience to play it. And that's something that game taught me. And it kind of opened up this like world for me of games that I now love, because it made me really get into Sekiro. I love Nioh and Nioh 2, like, because of Bloodborne. And even though Nioh's a little more different, it's more like Ninja Gaiden.
Right.
It's still in that realm of like a difficult game that you have to kind of like learn to master in a way in order to get through it.
You just have to pay attention to it in a different way.
Yeah.
And
it has its cheap shots here and there, but at the same time, it's still your fault. Like when you die in that game, it's like, yeah, that was a cheap shot, but it's still your fault.
Like, you still did that, though.
You still, you decided to jab at him when you shouldn't have. And yeah, his hit did kill you in one hit, but it's still your fault for jabbing.
You didn't have to fight him. You could have just done nothing for the rest of the game.
Exactly.
That's on you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I definitely would pick Bloodborne.
Yeah, I think Bloodborne is definitely one that goes on the list. For me, I put God of War as like one of the ones on my list because I do really love that game. I thought, bringing back Kratos in this like almost different style, but still him in a way. Like, it's still Kratos, it's still his style of like combat, but just a little more thoughtful. I really do love. The more I think about the game, the more I do really love, especially that moment where you get the Blades of Chaos. Even though I was like, I don't really like. I want to go back to the axe because it feels so good to get that axe back. I still really love that game, and I keep thinking about just how good it is, and how good it was. Like that first moment where you talk to the giant dragon or snake thing in the lake.
The snake, yeah.
That, like, its voice and the bass out of like coming out of it's crazy. Like, so for me, that was one I put on there. What about you? What's another one that you would put on your list?
I mean, I would put Sekiro on the list. I
It's a
don't
good one.
I don't have any qualms about putting two Souls games and two games from the same developer when I think
Yeah,
they're
no worries there.
I especially since I think Sekiro is one of the best designed combat systems in any game ever, and I thoroughly loved that experience. Can't wait to play it again eventually.
Yeah, I wanna see the remastered version of that on the newer hardware.
It's
See what it's.
called I played it on PC, already did it.
All right, you already did it. um, Now, once I got past those two, it was really hard to decide
Yeah,
on what I
that's
would put
the
afterwards. A part of me wanted to put Red Dead Redemption 2 on that list, and I think that I mean it certainly belongs on a list, but for me, is it my 10 out of 10? Um, Probably not,
hmm.
because although I did enjoy that game, at a certain point I was just kind of like, I'm done with this. I just want to finish the story. And
This
that's
is
eh,
this is an interesting list because we just did like our top 50 games.
right.
And I look at this for this top 10, and I keep looking at titles and thinking that's not on my top 50, but I do think that's a 10 out of 10, especially of this gen. I just love that game. I don't know if it's one of my favorite games, but I do think it's a phenomenal game. There's a lot. This gen is tough because I feel like it's so spread out.
It's so long. There's just
Yeah,
so much to consider.
yeah.
Yeah, that's a tough
Uh,
one.
I have another one. I think I would put Death Stranding on this.
Oh, yeah.
I just loved the experience of playing that game and delivering nonsense to other people over and over and over. It's a fun loop, and I got to give it credit for that. I do think you're onto something with the Red Dead 2 because I do want to consider that as well, but I don't know.
Yeah.
It's tough.
It
This,
is. It's definitely tough.
people are like, "Oh, I got these games," and these. I'm like, I can't pick out of any of these.
Yeah, how these like a lot of people came up with pretty similar lists. Like I saw Breath of the Wild on a lot of those lists. I think my third place would probably go to Persona 5. I love that game. I think it's great. It's a great JRPG. The characters in it are great. The story, the style, the music, everything about that game I love. Um I I won't dare play Royale or the Royal or whatever. I'll never play it. It's just like I've put so many hours into 5. I don't want to do that again. I don't have the time or patience to go through that game again, but I love everything that I did put into the original.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
I think I gotta shout out Last of Us 2.
Yeah.
I mean, recent game, but I was thinking about that game this week because I watched a YouTube video from one of those people that were like, "This is masterpiece." No, like a frowny face or whatever.
Oh god.
It actually wasn't that terrible. It was pretty decent video, but it just got me thinking about the game again. And even with because I do have complaints about it, but it's just so well done. It's
Yeah.
so fun. That combat loop I think is phenomenal.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
really love that game.
PlayStation does their shares of the week on their Instagram account,
Mm.
and every time that game pops up on there, I want to play it again cuz I just like I see like um I'll see like just an image of a moment from that game, and I'm just like instantly brought back into that game, and just like it's just such a emotional game that it just has such a resonance in me. Like anytime I just see any of those screenshots or a moment or a trailer, anything that shows part of that game, I just like it takes me back to playing it and everything that I felt during that game. Man, that it's just such a powerful game. It's crazy.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think I would also probably put Last of Us 2 on that list. It's tough because then at a certain point I'm like thinking like, oh, I think Smash Bros. Ultimate is really good, and
Hmm.
I think it's so great, and all these characters that they're putting in, which we'll get to later, awesome. I think I've been playing a lot of Nier lately, which I'll talk about later, and that's one that is so interesting to me. And you already know a lot of the story behind it. That
Yeah.
it's one of those things that it doesn't come around very often. Where last week we were talking about how a lot of Sony's games do feel the same when it comes to like their third person shooters, but then you got this game like Nier that is a hack and slash RPG, but so many other things in between. And it's just the more I play that game, the more I'm like just amazed by everything that they put in that game.
Keep going.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I will. Still going. But yeah, anyways, I thought it would be cool to talk about. Any other games you feel belong on that list that you would put on there?
Oh man, one that came to mind was The Witness. I really liked The Witness a lot.
Okay.
It's tough to think. I guess I could do the 10 or the 5 10 out of 10s, 4. God damn it, that aren't that are like the lesser known 10 out of 10s.
Yeah.
I suppose, because that for me would be like La Mulana 2. I would even put like Guitar Hero Live, which I love. Guitar Hero.
Yeah.
But even after that, I start thinking it starts getting difficult.
Yeah.
To really.
At a certain point, you're putting like every game on that list.
Yeah, it's this weird distinction of a 9 out of 10 or a 10 out of 10 put on this list.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, but I do always want to highlight La Mulana too.
It's hard to put a list together like that because at the same time you're putting into consideration games that you love, but also like games that you know should belong in that like stature of 10 out of 10.
Oh, Life is Strange is this gen. Yeah, we'll do that.
Yeah, there you go. A little Life is Strange in there.
Yeah.
Cool. All right. Well, I'll see what I can think of for next week. Maybe someone will put out another tweet.
So that'll be another viral tweet to
put out those
deal
damn
off
tweets.
of, yeah.
Gives us content. Anyways, Ben, I think we should move on to topic of the show. A lot to talk about this week. So what is the main topic for us this week?
The main topic is, boy howdy, does that Spider-Man look different? Oh man. Jeez, guys. So different.
So have it up on the stream so people can actually see what the new Spider-Man
is. It just his
like.
face? I don't know if it's just his face.
It actually I put on the sound.
Like not a moving trailer. So not anything. Just his face.
Just his face. I paused it right on there so you can look at it. So
perfect.
I know we talked about last week how Spider-Man is okay. Like it's a good game, you know, it's just not like.
Yeah, it's good.
I think people are going a little crazy over a lot of what's going on with Spider-Man. I think this is I get people got really attached to Spider-Man's face in the PS4 version. I mean, they gave their explanation of why they recast his face. To me, I don't care either way. I'm like, it's a video game. I mean, I don't care if he looks different, really. Like, to me, it feels like I'm just following along in the movies where you go from Tobey Maguire to Andrew Garfield to Tom Holland. Like, okay, I'm used to Spider-Man changing. I don't understand what the big people are like sending death threats to.
Well, obviously,
so like people are getting crazy, and I think
obviously that's too far.
Like this game has so much controversy around it.
This is weird. This is if imagine if what's his name, Andrew Garfield was in Captain America: Civil War. Imagine if he was in those Spider-Man scenes, right. and then they were like, "Oh, we got Tom Holland for Spider-Man: Homecoming. Let's go back into the other movie and CG Tom Holland into Civil War."
You can almost compare it to what they did with Mark Ruffalo and bringing him in as Hulk.
Yeah, but they didn't go back into the other movie.
Right. But
that's what's so weird about this to me. I have never seen this has never happened before, where you go back into another title and like, well, let's just get rid of that guy's face.
Now, did they say
bizarre.
Did they say if the PS4 version is going to have the new face as well, or is that
no? The PS4
PS5?
version stays the same.
Okay.
I just don't buy their reason. You know what I mean? Like, so they have their reason. Let me see. I have the quote somewhere over here. We loved working with the original dude, but we got a much better match to Yuri Lowenthal's facial capture, who did the voice.
Yeah.
But and they talked about like, oh, I got a weird face bone structure. But this is an issue that they must have already known about. Like, oh, his face capture doesn't match the face we got for him. That's something you probably realized 3 years ago and should have changed to the first time.
Yeah.
Like, how does that happen now? And his face structure is so fucking weird. That doesn't make any sense. He's not Willem Dafoe.
Yeah.
Like, come on.
That's a huge difference if it was Willem Dafoe because he's got quite the
Yeah,
odd
like that
face.
would be that's a weird face. I mean, no offense, Willem Dafoe. You got a unique face. That makes sense, but no one else needed to be rearranged. And also, you didn't have to make him look exactly like Tom Holland. If you wanted him to look like Tom Holland, come out and say that. This feels like a lie. That's my issue with this. Is it just feels like you're lying to me for no reason?
Yeah.
You could just said, I want it to look like the MCU, or we wanted him to look younger even.
Yeah.
Just say that. Like, okay, that's reasonable. But to make this whole thing like, oh, his facial capture looks so different. But you had his facial capture. You had his body double, whatever. You knew this already. So did you not have time or money to do it the first time? Which also doesn't make any sense because it's Spider-Man and they would definitely allow you to do that. And it's Spider-Man. Half the time he's not even a dude with a face. So it's just really stupid. This whole thing's really dumb.
It's really dumb. Me. I think this game just has so much crap like surrounding it.
It's very emblematic of Sony as a whole and the like PR strategy that they've been doing for the last year and a half. Like,
yeah, they're just so bad at messaging things, and this is so odd. Like obviously it's bugging some people, and I think it's weird to recast somebody. It's odd. People are kind of going crazy about it. I don't know. I don't care enough about this game or wanting to replay the PS4 remastered version or the Spider-Man remastered campaign. Like, I want to play Miles Morales, so I don't care about the rest of everything else. And even if new Spider-Man face shows up in Miles Morales, I'm cool with that because, like, I almost don't care about the behind the scenes stuff as much as, like, I just want the game to be good. It's just, but I don't know. It just goes along with all of Sony's messaging.
But imagine this. Imagine if they released The Last of Us Part 2. They remastered it for PS5, and they were like, you know what? We got rid of Abby's face.
No!
We changed her face. You're like, why? What the fuck is wrong with you? Why are you just changing faces all of a sudden? It's so bizarre. This has never happened. This doesn't even make any sense. Oh, the facial capture doesn't match. So you get a different face the first time.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah. It is.
No one liked his face. Well, then you should have changed it. Why are you changing it now?
Did people not like his face in the first one?
Yeah, I mean, it was just kind of whatever.
Oh, okay.
But so dumb. Like I'm just really hung up on the reason. Yeah. It makes no sense. Like, literally, that's your reason. That's really dumb.
Well,
I don't like it.
Gosh.
I'd care more if I cared about this game.
Yeah, I mean, I just think, yeah, it's weird. People, calm down. Stop sending death threats to game developers.
For sure. Definitely calm down. But yeah, it's really strange.
The people that do that don't deserve games.
That's fair. Yeah, that's fair. Right. It is funny that people that are you see this on a lot of gaming podcasts. Like, oh, I don't care about his face. Who cares? Well, you gotta at least care because this is the weirdest story I've heard in a long time.
I care about knowing the real reason. I don't care that his face is different because I don't care enough about the game.
I care that this
I care
happened.
about the story behind it. I just don't care about his actual face.
I want them to embrace this and just start having face DLC.
Oh yeah,
there's different faces.
Can I scan?
You can play through it as Tobey Maguire and all that. That'd be fun.
Yeah.
Why not?
You could do like NBA 2K where you scan your face in and it puts your face on it.
Oh wow! And it's the same high fidelity, so it looks really terrible.
Yeah, it's just like scanned in, all warped.
It's like 30 degrees off.
All right, let's move on to the next thing, which What is the next item on the list?
The
Minecraft?
next piece of news is Minecraft Steve
Minecraft stove.
coming to Smash Bros. Ultimate, which also seems to have upset some people.
It broke Twitter, didn't it? It like broke Twitter for in almost like 30 minutes, I think.
Right. I don't know if that was because of this, but it's possible.
That's true.
I can't confirm or deny it wasn't because of this.
Yeah. I think it looks pretty cool. I was afraid that the movements would be really stiff when I first saw like some of the combat. But I think they're doing some pretty insane things with how they're kind of like integrating Minecraft into Smash Bros. Like really like things that I wouldn't think would be possible, I guess, in that game. And was it Sakurai?
Sakurai, yeah.
Sakurai talked about how they basically had to almost redo how the levels like all the maps work because of the Minecraft characters.
Yeah, because of the blocks.
Yeah, because of the blocks. We had to go and basically pixelate everything.
Yeah, we had to make everything super pixelated so it can fit in this stupid block, man.
Yeah.
I agree. I like what it looks like. It's so indicative of Minecraft. I think they did a fantastic job with that. It looks like a character I will never play and would hate to play as.
I think it like some of these characters to me seem a little too complicated. Like Minecraft seems a lot too complicated. And so it makes me not really want to play as him, but I definitely want to try it.
I want his stage. I want him in the mix.
Yeah.
And I'm willing to try him, but yeah, I don't know if I want that.
Yeah, it's
get the mine for materials and then I don't have any iron. I can't do this move. I'm like, this is no.
Seems like a whole lot of management that I'm not really in the mood for.
Yeah,
but it does seem
that's not
cool.
my bag, guys.
Yeah.
We'll see. He could. I do love some of his animations are pretty funny where like you knock him over and he just falls all weird and then gets back up like by rotating upwards. I love it. Or he goes to sleep and falls on the bed. It's really, they did a really good job with all that.
Yeah, they definitely did. Apparently the deal's been in the works for like 5 years, which is kind of insane, but I wonder if that's how long it took to figure out how to put them in there.
I mean, imagine 2 years of that are probably logistics of the money and the deal, like in terms of that. That makes sense. I do. It is funny there were a bunch of people. Who cares about Minecraft? Like, this is the most popular game, like the biggest selling game ever. Yeah, we want Steve in this game. Dummies.
Yeah, and you know, every time they announce a new character, everyone's upset because it's not the character they wanted.
All right. At this point, though, I don't know. I mean, there's people I'd want, but there's nothing like, I really want so and so. I don't know. I don't even know what to fill in that blank with.
Yeah. I think there's just a pretty common like audience of like, we don't want any more Fire Emblem characters. Please no more.
Please no more. It is a lot.
Quite a bit.
I think they could fit a couple more Fire. Do you think we'll get another one? It'd be hilarious if we got another one.
No, I think people would start deleting the game off their Switch.
It's like
that
20% of the roster. It's Fire Emblem.
We just put a
more
whole
representation
than
Mario. It's man. At this point, just make Fire Emblem Bros Ultimate, and
pretty much.
Someone's got to have done that where you start the game and then you only unlock Fire Emblem characters.
Imagine.
Just to look at that character select screen.
Hey, I wonder if there is a way to do that. That'd be interesting.
I mean, you'd obviously still have Mario and stuff, but you could do that. It would just be when a challenger approaches, you die to them.
You die.
And then you only succeed against the Fire Emblem characters, and then you buy all the DLC that's just specifically those people.
Yeah.
That's the money part is where I'm like, I don't want to do this, but
cool. Well,
no. I like Smash a lot. This is cool, and it comes out really soon, next week, I think.
Oh, really? Oh, the 13th, I think, is the rumor.
13th. So, the week after next. That a Tuesday? Whatever.
All right, sounds good.
Coming out, gonna be fun.
Alrighty. right, on to the next news
On to
item.
the next news. We're cruising through the news. This is good. Got a
Yeah.
nice pace going. CD Projekt Red has announced they will be doing mandatory crunch for the next 6 weeks up to the release of Cyberpunk 2077. This is basically you have to work Saturday. That's what this amounts
Yeah.
to.
Yeah.
But they are compensated via overtime, which someone has pointed out is required by law. So that's not like we're doing a nice thing. Like,
Yeah.
no, that's illegal if you don't. And they also at CD Projekt Red, you get 10%. Was it 10% of the? Oh, here it is.
The
10% of the company's annual profit
Yeah.
is divided up among the employees, which is pretty significant when you're CD Projekt Red.
Yeah.
And they're releasing a giant ass game that I'm sure will sell 15 million copies this year.
Yeah, so
This
there's a
is
lot
another
of
thing that got people
oh, go
upset.
ahead, sorry. Yeah, another
No, no.
thing, everyone's upset. Obviously, like crunch is not really ever a good thing, but I mean, we see it all the time, and it's not that that's a good thing or like acceptable, but like, what do you do at this point?
Yeah, I don't know. I find a lot of the discourse around crunch to be a little disingenuous from a lot of games media, um, mainly because they also do that.
Yeah, yeah, they crunch. Yeah,
And I know a lot of industries do that, and there's a lot of things to take into consideration with this. One is the other side of the coin, which doesn't get talked about a lot. Some people, and I'm sure you know people like this, and sometimes this person is me, where they offer overtime, and you say, "Yeah, sure,
yeah,
I'll work an extra day this week.
yeah.
Why not? I'll
Get it
work
while it's
6 more
good.
hours. Yeah, yeah. Sure. I'll make a couple $100 this week doing overtime. Yeah, fine, right? And obviously that's a little bit different than hey, we have to. Everyone has to come in. I'm not saying that. But people like to work overtime, and when you're doing a creative, especially when you're doing a creative thing, creative field, this is I would hope maybe not necessarily your dream job, but you're really into it. Yeah, you'll sit there and you'll work for 10 hours and be like, "Oh shit, I forgot to eat. I gotta like take a break and do that." And then I want to finish this thing though. So then you end up working for 16 hours that day because you're just really into it. I'm sure that happens all the time. Um, and I don't see a problem with that. I see a problem once it becomes forced crunch,
Yeah,
right?
mandatory.
And this 6 week thing, I don't see an issue with this at all. That's 6 weeks. That's not a big deal. This is something you've been working on for 5 years. I'm sure you're real excited to get it out the door. That makes sense. There have been reports that this has been going on for longer, at least for certain people. Um, again, though, it goes back to if you want to work and this is something you're super passionate about, you're gonna do it. And I know for both of us, working a 40-hour week and then streaming or working on a video or doing a podcast, that ends up being a much longer week because I would consider that work,
Yeah,
right? And how is that any different? And I do find, as much as I love Jason Schrier, I do find his stance on crunch just so vehemently against it is bizarre to me
yeah.
because he's written several books, or at least two. I don't know. He's
Think
written
three.
books,
Yeah,
okay. And you mean to tell me you weren't going to publish this book and at no point you crunched on it? You're fucking lying. You're fucking lying. And maybe you don't like that you had to do that, but I find that he doesn't bring himself up as like, hey, this is real bad and this is what it's done to me. Like, I find that weird where he never brings up how there's so much crunch in games journalism and everyone in games journalism is so against crunch, but they never bring themselves up in that conversation. It's just very odd to me. And even going back to because I have spent hours doing shit in Unreal and making a little prototype in Unity and stuff like that. I've done that for hours and hours and hours a day, and I loved doing it. Right. And if you mean to tell me, oh, we need you to work on this thing, like, oh, program this feature, and I do it for 12 hours and I love it and I'm totally fine with it, who are you to say like, oh, you can't work more than 40 hours a week? Like, fucker, I want to work on this project. So I think there's a lot of sides to this issue that are not really discussed. All that gets said by mainstream, not to be like mainstream media, but the only thing you get from Polygon, Kotaku, etc., is crunch is bad. But they never talk about the fact that they do it, and the fact that a lot of this is like, oh, I just want to work. You know what I mean? Like there's more sides to this than just, oh, crunch bad. Like, yeah, mandatory crunch is bad. Working 100-hour weeks is insane. Doing even 60-hour weeks for a year is insane, and that should not be a thing that we encourage. But if I want to work an extra day a month or every other week, or stay 2 hours late every other day, like, wow, that's not a problem. And I think both are kind of conflated into, hey, you work over 40 hours, you suck. That's like, these are passionate people working on what could be one of the best games ever made. Just let them fucking work extra couple hours. It's so weird.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think a lot of it gets, blown out of proportion. I think a lot of game media sites like Kotaku are very, or even now just Jason Schrier at Forbes, because he's not at Kotaku anymore, are very just
like Bloomberg,
not Forbes. Are very
the
just
article
like,
up.
Yeah, one-sided. And I know Colin Moriarty came out and said like the story's much ado about nothing. Like, it's not ideal. Like, they're getting paid. It's just, not everything is a crisis.
Right.
And I agree. Like, this is the same story we see every time there's going to be a huge game coming out, like Last of Us 2, like Uncharted, like any big game coming out. And it doesn't mean it's okay, but these things in that type of field have become a regularity because people are trying to hit these deadlines, and they're trying to get the game released in between this fiscal year, before the end of this fiscal year. Or they're a game like Cyberpunk, which has these huge expectations, which has been delayed multiple times, has so much hype. And the biggest thing about that too is that everyone right now is going to freak out about crunch and deliberate how good or bad it is. And then once the game's out, that conversation will not happen anymore.
Mm-hmm. Well, it happened with Red Dead too, where there was that whole thing of crunch there, and then that's about it. That's about as far as we got with that discussion.
Yeah, and I think honestly, if it was a big enough issue for game developers, like, at this point, wouldn't we see, more of a union or people going on strike? Because it just doesn't seem like everybody's on board with that.
Exactly. I'm so glad you brought up that point. There's all these, and not to discredit anonymous sources, but there's a lot of anonymous sources, and that's totally fine and reasonable. You want to keep your job, it makes total sense. But, well, how come there aren't anonymous sources or even named sources from the other side that say like, no, I like doing it? There's a few people who have said that, yeah, I do crazy hours and I don't care. It's weird because you're right. I totally think a lot of people must be fine with this, or at least complicit within it, which again doesn't necessarily make it right. But I again, it goes back to what I said. You're super passionate about making video games. You could, if you're a programmer, you could be programming fucking shit for Facebook and making a lot more money. But you're doing this because you love doing it and you want to make a cool game. And I think that extends out through the entire studio of everyone there. This is a very fun thing to be a part of, and it's not work. It's not capital W work in the same way. Now, if you're doing 80-hour weeks, yeah, it starts to become a big toll, just like anything would. But it's different when you're doing something creative, and when you can kind of have that flow of, no, I don't really know what to do, and then all of a sudden, like, oh shit, I got the spark of this creativity. I'm gonna make this and do this, and then 6 hours go by, and you're staying late, and people, like, the lights are turning off. You're like, oh shit, what happened? Oh no. That's totally what happens when you're in a creative field doing a creative thing.
Yeah.
And I'm sure it's pretty freaking common, Obviously, there's issues, and Jason brings this up in his article of maybe you want to go home, but everyone else is still there, and you don't feel like you can leave. And to that person, I'm like, you tell HR that you don't feel comfortable leaving, and if that doesn't get rectified, then you go to Jason. You know what I mean? Like that's a company culture thing and less of a crunch thing.
Yeah, that's
Because if
definitely
you don't
more
feel
of an HR issue for sure.
yeah, you don't feel comfortable walking out of the building because you might get ridiculed for not staying super late, that's a completely separate issue. That's a toxic work environment.
Yeah.
Uh, and I also think with this, going back to CD Projekt Red, if I would love to imagine, obviously I don't know, I would love to imagine if you're gonna have a kid in like 2 weeks, you could tell them, "Hey guys, like I can't do this. Like my wife's gonna give birth in a week."
Yeah.
And I would like to imagine they'd go, "Totally understand, dude." Like, I would like to imagine that's the case, and they're like, "No, you have to work, right? Because this mandatory crunch, maybe you can't because of X, Y, Z." If they still force you, that's again when we start getting into why you would need a union and certain labor laws. But I do think that that point that you brought up is very what does Colin say? Salient, I don't know.
I don't know.
There's a word with an S that has other letters in it. Salient point. That's it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, there's where's the other side? We only hear from like 3 people that are upset about this. Is everyone just okay with it? Should they be even? There's there's just a lot unexplored with this topic, I think.
Right. Yeah, and it's just, people are going to argue about it till the game comes out, and then, you know, on to the next. What's the next big release afterwards that they're going to talk about? They hit Ubisoft pretty hard, but I think we still hit them some more. So it's like it's just like, I don't know. I agree with a lot of what Colin says about like the games media and how they panic about everything and they make everything seem a little more overblown than it actually is. And I think this is one of those situations where like that company is, about to release their biggest title ever. This is set to be bigger than The Witcher 3. And it's make or break, not make or break really, but like this is like it has to do well. It has to come out and it can't be a buggy mess like the Avengers. It has to come out and be a hit because you also have to kind of like succeed your predecessor of The Witcher 3. You have to do better than that. So I'm sure there's all this pressure. I'm sure people on that team that have been working on it for years don't want it to come out and, get a fucking 7 or an 8. They want it to be a 9 or a 10.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah. It's an interesting issue. And I do like having the discussion. It just so often it's just not talked about in a way I find meaningful or relevant. Especially since I am in a unique position where I have done a little bit of game dev at a college level.
Yeah. Well, I think not even
Right?
that.
Like,
I think we both work jobs that are pretty demanding and do have that overtime. I don't really have like, so since I work in payroll, when it comes to like end of the year stuff, we don't have mandatory overtime. But if you want to be caught up on your work, you want to get everything done on time, and you don't want to be, completely out of your mind the
just
next day.
slammed.
You like slam the whole day trying to get work done in between, also getting calls from like your own clients. Like you have to work overtime. Like I worked so much overtime during this last, year end cycle from like January through February that I had some of my best paychecks I've ever had, but at the same time, like I was exhausted. I was done, but I was compensated, and obviously like that place it's not mandatory, like, but you feel like it is. And so I get that feeling of like, oh man, I feel like I have to work overtime or else I'm gonna be fucked the next day.
Right.
And and I see other coworkers, they're working overtime and the next day they're good, and I'm like, so I think there's just a lot of that. I think we all see that. And I think if things were bad enough in the company I work for, there'd probably be a union, but it's really small company, and also like it's not mandatory overtime. And if we do have problems with it, we can go to HR, things like that. So I think you brought up that really good point of like if someone is preventing you from going home because of overtime, that's where you go to HR.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's processes in place for this.
Yeah, and I think the thing we're noticing, or that at least you and I probably noticed the most, is like people don't talk about it in this way as much. Everyone at least everyone that I've heard talk about it on all the podcasts I normally listen to are very very much in line with like Jason's article, and like absolutely not acceptable. And it's like there's more to that.
Yeah, there's so much nuance to this.
Yeah.
It's not just 40 hours and that's it.
Yeah.
And that's the end of the discussion. Making something creative. Like I've written 2 novels as part of the National Novel Writing Month. And I was working 40 hours a week, and it was fun, and I enjoyed doing it. That's the same kind of thing we're talking about here.
Yeah.
Where if you love it, you're going to do it, and you're not going to mind it. And I understand maybe you don't see your family, but if you're at a job for 10 years that you're doing this crazy crunch thing the whole time, that's more reflective on you not seeing your family than it is the job at that point.
Yeah.
You have to take responsibility for continuing to work there for years and years and years if that's what's happening and you're not seeing it get better and there is a culture problem. And I do think a lot of these places have a culture problem, and that's a bad problem. That's the problem we should really be going after, not this crunch. That's like a side effect.
Well, it's a side effect of either bad management or just like overall just like a need to like move your release date at this point. Like if you're crunching because the release date is coming soon, then your game's not ready.
Right. Obviously there's going to be 6 weeks of crunch is reasonable.
Yeah, and I mean, and no game is ever fully ready at this point. With this, like the last few generations, or at least a couple generations, I think PS2 were kind of okay that generation. Like that's just how these games are. They're never fully ready to come out. I mean, you don't want it to come out like the Avengers and be this buggy mess where first patch is like, guess what, guys, we're fixing over 1,000 bugs. It's like, no, god awful. I love that. Like that was awful.
Don't advertise that.
They were almost proud of it, and it's just like, oh god, no.
We killed 1,000 bugs. Like there's 1,000 bugs.
Like why so many? But yeah, like you know, it's but I just think to me it sounds more like bad management.
It definitely, yeah.
Also, I'm not there, and there could be many different management. Maybe 1 or 2 managers are like on it, and then there's one guy that's like, I fucked up, guys.
Yeah. Well, we also, at any job I've ever worked, and I'm sure this is true for you, there's always a couple employees that you look at and go, what do you do? Do you do anything? And I'm not even talking about management. I'm just talking about like regular ass people. You don't fucking do anything.
Your computer's been off for 3 months. What are you doing?
Like I saw you playing solitaire for 2 hours. So I'm sure there's probably less of that at a game development studio, I would imagine. But I'm sure there are a couple dim light bulbs where you're like, all right, you're dragging down the team, but you are talented because some of the people I went to college with were amazing, just like artists or whatever. But they would do nothing. They would accomplish nothing in any of these classes. And then I just see them making art that was incredible. Like, how do you just not apply yourself on a reasonable timetable? So that's another thing, is having timetables for art is difficult. Yeah, it's not exactly something you can do. I do think this whole, it's coming out in 6 weeks. We got to crunch to get it done. It's strange that games haven't adopted kind of the style that movies do or TV shows, where they finish a bunch of shit and then put it out later. You know what I mean? Like if I was Sony, I would have all my studios working on stuff. And then when they finished something, I would shelve it and stagger out the releases of all the stuff so that there's no crunch or no anything, because I have 13 studios and I can always fill in a slot. No one's ever pressured. You're waiting till it's done. It's like, Nintendo does this, where they announced Pikmin 3, and it was available to preload that day, and it came out 3 months later. Like, that game was done.
Yeah.
There was no work to be done with it. So that's something you could do, at least if you're a big publisher, is finish the game, do everything you would like you're going to ship on this day. But no, you don't need to do crunch because it's not actually coming out that day. You finish it, get it all ready, start working on the next thing. Sony comes at it and goes, okay, we'll release that in 4 months. And you go, okay, cool. There's your crunch problem gone because you're not working to the deadline. The movie studios do this all the time where they move things around. That stupid New Mutants movie was delayed 7 years. Like, it was done, you know? You don't need to work until the end. There's no other industry that I can think of really that you work until the very, and then it's out the next day. That's a weird way to do things.
Yeah. Interesting.
Yeah.
I don't know if they're ready for that.
No, that is complicated. Definitely, that's why it doesn't happen. I don't think there's a lot to manage there, and that's someone above all the studios micromanaging all these projects and trying to schedule them out in a calendar year. That becomes very complicated. But if you want to get rid of crunch, you have to get rid of the weird deadlines that are self-imposed.
Yeah, that's true.
And now that we don't have trade shows, crunch should go down because there's no vertical slice you to finish.
Right. You think that would help. All right, Ben, I think we should move on to the next topic.
Okay, you tell me about this rumor.
So I saw people were making comments about the rumor that the PlayStation 5, you look at the hard drive space, and with the OS, you're left with about 664 gigabytes. Now
where are they getting that number from?
Someone who has a YouTuber, I think a Japanese YouTuber who has a PlayStation 5, like a preview version of it or something, looked at the hard drive space and shared an image of it. This is all rumor, speculation, because none of this can be confirmed. Sony hasn't said anything about it. But my biggest thing about this, because like we're looking at, the Xbox Series X with 1 terabyte. We're looking at a PlayStation 5 with 825 gigs.
Yeah.
I hate, and then we talked about maybe an episode or two ago, the expandable hard drive, right? The little slot in drive for like the Xbox Series X, Xbox Series S, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I hate the idea that we're already like, space is so limited. Like, and like, how am I already having anxiety about space on my hard drive? I don't even have the console. I don't even know what games I'm going to download. And I'm already thinking about, I'm running out of space. Like, I hate this. Like, I was, they talked about how the fans on the PS5 are silent. They're silent, which great. Thank you. That's like, obviously one of my biggest pet peeves about the PlayStation 4 is it sounds like a fucking plane is taking off in my living room. But now I'm back to thinking about the hard drive space, and I'm used to juggling hard drive space on my PlayStation 4 because the one time I had my external hard drive, it just like something happened and it stopped working. So I just went back to juggling games, which is fine. It helped me keep myself in order of only playing 1 or 2 games at a time.
Right. You have the half a terabyte?
I have half a terabyte.
Okay.
But it's just, if let's say I want to get the all digital PlayStation 5, like I'm already thinking about the hard drive space. It's kind of crazy.
Well, I mean, you'd have the same problem if it was the disc version anyway.
Either way, because you're installing the whole fucking game on your hard drive.
Yeah, you have to install the games. If you think that old mechanical hard drive is slow, try to run it off the disc. That's way slower. Yeah, this isn't great news. The Xbox, I mean, even if it's a terabyte, it still only has 802 gigabytes, I think.
Yeah.
After the OS and all that, which is a lot better. I don't know. I do think I will buy a small external hard drive and just plug it into these to have extra storage. But I don't know. I do kind of like the juggling, as you put it. You're really not playing. I brought this up last time. You really like, stop lying to yourself. You're not going to play Alien Isolation. It's been on your hard drive for 2 years. You're not going to play it.
Yeah.
Just get rid of it. And that's fine. Most games are not Warzone, most games. So you should be okay to play, you put The Last of Us on there, Red Dead 2, and then like a bunch of other shit. You'll be fine. Like those are both 100 gig games. You'll still be fine for a while. It is a lot though. And it is concerning to the future of what that means.
Yeah. I think for me, when I first got the PlayStation 4 and I was like, I got 500 gigs on here. Maybe at the time it sounded like a lot, but now that like as the generation went on, all I could think about was like, fuck, 500 gigs? How many gigs is this game that I'm downloading? 80? Oh my gosh. And then I was like, oh wait, there's a Call of Duty update. 80 gigs? Like,
What's happening?
why is everything 80 gigs?
Well, especially when you look at it, Sony's had this problem forever where you have to have, I don't know if this is the case even anymore or even with the PS5, but you had to have double the space. So if you were installing a 60 gig thing, you had to have 120 gigs of space to like download it,
so
which could really become a problem.
I thought that was only with Call of Duty, but I'm not sure if it's with every game where you had to have, like, you had to be able to basically reinstall the entire game.
Yeah, well, because it's like a zip file and it unzips it.
So fucking stupid.
Yeah, that is still true, or I don't know if it's still true, but that is true for more things than just Call of Duty.
Yeah, it's just, I think I'm ready for consoles to die.
That's healthy.
How is it that we're on the new generation of consoles and they still have like old generation problems?
Right. And they keep saying like, oh, games are going to be smaller now. And I just don't see how they're going to be that much smaller.
Liars.
Like, even if because there's duplicate files and all this shit. I'm like, okay, but now you're going to start adding 4K textures. So there goes your extra space.
Yeah.
Like, we're still back to the same problem.
Yeah. I don't know. Much ado about nothing here as well. But I've been seeing a lot of like a lot of people kind of give their input on all the impressions with the Xbox Series X. Everybody's got these preview builds and they're kind of giving their impressions on, which a lot of it is very impressive, like the quick resume features, the quick load times. All that's awesome. Like I'm excited for all that stuff, and it's like it shows that Sony is still just not there with messaging because they still aren't doing this. How are you still not doing this, Sony? Like,
no, there's like a couple stuff coming out of Japan, like you said, with this hard drive space that showed off loading time and just here's some Godfall gameplay.
Yeah.
But it's not the same, and they're really. But again, this is very important to us and our sphere.
Right.
But no one gives a shit, and in a month, no one's gonna care. It's gonna be fine.
Exactly. Again, nobody's gonna care in a month once the consoles are out.
Right.
The only people that really care about are like the fanboys of each console.
In 6 months, it is not going to matter that they announce the price and release date for this 2 months out.
Definitely not.
It's irrelevant.
Yeah,
interesting.
I couldn't tell you when the PS4 came out.
November.
I don't remember.
I mean, I know that. I know the November part.
Yeah, I don't know. It's just feeding into the console wars. That's all it is.
I'm so tired.
I'm so
tired of these wars.
I'm so tired of these console wars.
I mean,
seen too many of them.
12 years old on GameFAQs arguing about GameCube. Like, I'm done. I'm done.
Yeah. I mean,
I don't have it in me anymore.
Like, instead of arguing, just get all the consoles. It just makes it so much better.
Just spend all your money.
Yeah.
Work some overtime, and there you go.
All right. Well, I just thought I hadn't seen much more about it. People were talking about it for like a hot minute, and then they stopped. So I figured maybe it got like disproved or whatever.
I don't know if it's been official reporting. I mean, that number lines up with kind of the Xbox number, so
yeah,
it makes sense. It's not good.
Not great.
I wish it was 666. That'd be interesting.
Oh Jesus.
No, that's the PS6 comes with 666.
Oh yeah,
Okay.
that'd be cool. All
That's
right,
cool.
Ben. Let's move on to games that we've been playing. Why don't you start us off with the game
Yay.
that you've been playing this week?
Okay, I'm gonna start you off with the mini update section where it's just like a bunch of games real quick. Uh, I played more Neo 2. Still really like Neo 2 a lot. I stopped playing it because there's just so much of that game. There's too much. I looked up. I'm like halfway through the game. I don't know if I'll go back. It's just too big. I've done it. I've done this. I don't need to do more. It's too long. I feel so old and tired. I want to play something else. So I shelved Neo 2
Okay, all right.
for now. It's also on my PS4 and then
Sounds
it's
like a
old
Gen
and
X game.
smelly.
Okay.
You know how PS4s are.
Yeah, I guess.
I played a little bit more of Divinity Original Sin 2.
Cool.
I sent it back to Gamefly.
No.
Hashtag Gamefly. Really like that game still. I got stuck because you're supposed to escape this place and I didn't know what to do. And I ended up teleporting my one character over. They're the stealthy rogue lady.
Yeah.
And then she stealthed through their base to the exit and lowered the drawbridge and then went to the teleportation shrine and teleported the party over. I'm like, okay, that's how we're doing it, I guess. I don't know how else to do.
Oh wow.
Like, I have no idea how else I was supposed to do that, except for fighting everyone, which seemed ill-advised.
Which is hard in that game. You can't just go and fight everybody, like,
No.
because these fights can turn really quickly. And
Oh, yeah.
gosh, like it.
I actually,
Oh man. Yeah,
I
go ahead.
turned the game to Explorer mode, which I'm not exactly sure what it did altogether, but I knew it was going to make it easier.
Yeah.
And it gave me a shit ton of HP extra, and the fights became so much easier, like almost a little too easy. But it was cool. I kind of want a mode in between that and classic mode, like just give me the HP boost. But that was cool to kind of not feel like I could just get lit on fire and poisoned and then thrown into a pit instantly in a fight. A really cool game. I'm excited to play. What is it? What's the one that comes
Baldur's
out?
Gate 3 comes out
Yes,
October 6th, I think.
it's real soon. Yeah, so I might play that, but I kind of want to play that on my PC that is dead. So we shall see about that.
Any word on
That's
your
also
motherboard?
no. They got it. They haven't. It says what is it? Update on the 15th is what their estimate. So
Jeez.
okay. I know. Oh geez, indeed. Oh geez, indeed. Hey, at worst comes to worst, maybe I'll just buy it on Xbox and play it on the Series X.
Oh,
No, I don't want to. I don't want to do that. Also, what small updates? You'll talk about that. You'll talk about oh, Mario Sunshine is a small update. Because I started playing that. Mario Sunshine, see, Nintendo doesn't get enough credit because in this game they developed a little known system that seems to detect when you're having fun and just ruin it for you.
Oh.
So every time you think like, oh, this is really cool, I'm climbing this giant weird scaffolding thing, and then oh, why is there a ghost here? And then he knocks you off, and you have to take 2 minutes to climb back to where you were because the game said, no, you're having too much fun, you can't do that. Or there's this, what if I got on a blooper and I'm racing around like I'm jet skiing? Oh, this is so cool. And I accidentally hit into a wall and I don't get kicked off the blooper. I die and get kicked out of the level and then have to go back into the level. And there's so many examples of, there's this giant flying sandbird thing. And you're like, oh, cool, I'm walking on the back of this sandbird. It's flying around. It's got the physics of that. You know, it's like a Shadow of the Colossus kind of. This is really cool. And then the physics get all wonky and the bird tilts sideways all of a sudden and you just fall and die. I'm like, can we just have fun for 5 seconds, please? That's the entirety of this game to me, is it gets so close to being fun and just like spits in your face. God damn. This game is rude.
It's kind of like the theme of the game where it spits water at you.
It is very thematically correct, yeah. I do like it. I like exploring the levels more than actually doing the task at hand because that task is often annoying. The controls are weird. The camera's weird too. It's funny going from Mario 64 to this game. I totally understand why everyone is upset at Mario Sunshine. I get it. Because I played Sunshine back on GameCube and I'm like, this is fine, whatever.
Yeah.
I didn't get it. And now I have full context and I'm right there with all these people. This game is such a disappointment after Mario 64. It is
Wow.
a completely different game. They just learned all the wrong lessons. The stuff that annoyed me about Mario 64, like you can only get 1 star, then it kicks you out, isn't that big of a deal. In Mario Sunshine, you literally can only get the 1 star because they just rearranged the level and only make it possible to do one thing. So exploring around, like in Mario 64, what's over here? What's over there? Oh, I found a hidden star over here. That's cool. That's not even possible in Mario Sunshine. And God, that's again. Oh, you thought you were gonna have fun today? No. Fuck, dude. Like the red coins. There's red coins on all the levels in Mario 64. You get them all, you get a star. Cool. You can do that whenever you want. In Mario Sunshine, you have to get to that shine, and then the red coins appear, and then you do it. And it's like, it's just that. Why? This is the not fun way to do it. I don't understand.
Yeah.
So I stopped playing that to play Animal Crossing a little bit. One other real quick. There's some other shit on here. Mario 35, the Battle Royale.
Yeah, I tried it.
It's really cool.
Yeah, it's not bad. It's pretty cool. I realized how badly I suck at that.
Yeah, I'm not great.
Yeah.
It feels like I play for several minutes and then I'm still like, how am I still 14th? How is everyone not dead? I've been playing for minutes.
I
But-
just kept running out of time. Like I felt like I was doing good, and then I'm like, oh shit, I only got 4 seconds. And then the level, like I get to the end of the level, and as I'm waiting to transition into the new level, like, and then I start and it's 3, 2, 1. I'm like, oh fuck.
Huh. Yeah, I do. It's really cool though.
Yeah,
I like what they're doing
great.
there.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. I like it. It reminds me a lot of like when I started playing Tetris 99. It's like cool. I like getting a few games, and I'm like I'm good. And then I'm thinking I don't know if I will ever play it again, but it's kind of nice. Maybe I'll dip in here
Right.
and
Yeah, that's how I feel about it.
there.
Maybe every once in a while, I got 5 minutes, I'll play one of these.
Yeah. Cool.
All right, tell me about one of your games here.
All right, I'm gonna start it with Genshin Impact. Did you get to play? You played some of this, right?
Yeah, I played about 3 hours of it.
3 hours, okay. Which maybe is about as much as I put into it. Maybe a little bit more. I think it's okay. So it seems like a lot of people really love it, and they, the biggest or the most, I guess, comment I see, or most common comment I see is it has no business being this good.
Yeah.
Which I think it's great. I think this game is pretty cool for being free to play. The gacha mechanics aren't super predatory unless you're going to go in there and spend money, because then it's kind of like, oh man, all I got were a ton of like level 2 or 3-star weapons and one character. I really want to try again. Like if you kind of fall victim to that pretty easily, then it's going to get you. But if you're broke as fuck and you can't spend money on this game, I think it's great. You get enough characters to really just kind of get the game started with, and even with just playing the game, you're getting currency to go and even do some of these like wishes, what they're called, basically, where you kind of get like a loot box of people and weapons.
Yeah.
And I got like, I think with the currency that you get in the game, I got one character that I really like, and I forgot what it uses. Fuck, I already forgot. I think it's using electricity, and it's a sword character, but mainly about the game. It's cool. I think it's a little the combat's a little shallow, other than the fact that you can use elements.
Right.
I think I'd like it more if the characters were all out with you and you can easily switch to them instead of having to tag them in and out. Co-op, right? I think you can do co-op at some level. I don't even know.
I'm not sure when. Yeah, I don't know.
I think it's level 15, but I think that's story level 15, which I'm not even sure if that's it. I think
there's a lot going on.
Yeah, the game's pretty cool. I gotta say, like, if anybody's just looking for an RPG to play and you don't want to spend any money, like, it's free to play, and you can play it on PC, on PS4, on mobile, and it's eventually coming to Switch, which is probably where I'll end up downloading it and playing more of it.
Okay.
I don't want to play it on PS4 because PS4 doesn't have the cross save feature.
Womp womp.
Wah.
Thanks, Sony.
Yep. But I find myself every now and then, like while I'm working, I'll pop it on my phone and like play it for a little bit. But man, does that shit kill my battery? So I don't really.
Oh, I can't imagine. The game's gorgeous.
It is. It's a great looking game. I think it's really good. It playing it made me want to play something better. Like once I played that, then
Really?
I was like, I'm gonna play Nier. That's what I'm gonna do.
Okay. Oh, you mean better like combat system, all
Yeah,
that.
just in general. Like I mean, it's an alright enough game, but it reminded me a lot of like other games that I'd rather play or like other games that I think are better. Like I think Ni no Kuni 2 is better than this game. I think if
Really?
yeah, I think just the combat
I
alone,
I
Ni no Kuni
I
2's
like the
combat is great.
combat in this game, and I understand it's really basic, and I will point to Breath of the Wild combat, which is also very basic.
Yeah,
Uh, and I think this is better. I like the way this game is structured so much better than Breath of the Wild because it very much is Breath of the Wild, but like with kind of the Tales games
yeah,
aesthetic and combat in it a little bit. Uh, I loved the time I spent with it. Just wandering around, exploring, finding this thing. Oh, let me fight this encampment because they have a treasure chest, and I might get some loot drops from it. And the loot drops pop out satisfyingly. You know,
yeah, yeah,
that's an important thing. Uh, I I I really 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 liked it, and the only reason I didn't play more was because of the we talked about this, the control scheme on
oh
PC.
god,
If you use a controller,
yeah,
has B be the confirm button, and that's confusing.
yeah. The control
So
scheme on this game is a problem, and I
yeah.
I did play more of this game than I thought I would. I think I did put in 3 or 4 hours in one sitting, which I rarely do for any game. Um,
Oh yeah, the 3 hours I played was the one sitting, and I did not
yeah,
mean to sit there that long.
yeah, and I mean I switched from controller to keyboard and mouse, and keyboard and mouse works well enough, but like I could totally chill and play it on a controller and play a lot more than I did and feel more comfortable about it, but you can't just switch everything up like that on me. It'd be
Right.
different if
I've
it was like if I'm using maybe like the pro controller and I'm used to having those buttons backwards.
exactly.
But yeah, I
No, it was confusing. Uh I started playing Hades, and it was confusing there. And I will wait for a patch,
mhm.
perhaps,
Yeah,
or I'll finish everything else and then go back to this, so I'm not confusing games as much.
yeah. I I do like that you can try out characters and
Yeah.
if you decide, oh man, this is a great character, I want to try to get them in the wish if they're in that pack or whatever. Like I'm not sure exactly how it worked. Like I I will probably play more of this game. I'm pretty sure I will. I like it enough to where I haven't like instantly deleted it off my computer. I still have it on my phone, and I'm really much looking forward to it coming out on Switch. Which not sure when. I think it's still to be announced, but this game would kill on Switch. It'd be great.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, it's Breath of the Wild, and I people are so obnoxious. We want more games to copy Breath of the Wild. Not like this, though. No,
Yeah.
not like this.
No, nobody's
All
ever
right.
happy.
I really like this game. I really, really, really like this game. If it wasn't for that controller, like I was able to reassign the buttons, I probably would have put 10, 12 hours into this game by now.
Yeah, yeah,
But it's just as the buttons, man, and that's the only thing. Because if you like the anime dumb garbage aesthetic, like I set the VO to Japanese, like, let's go all in.
yeah.
It
Might as well, right?
might as well. It's really good. I can't wait to play more.
Yeah, me too. Me too. I mean, and the amount of content that I've heard it has is insane. Insane.
Right.
It's crazy. Um, let's talk about Hades. So you said you started playing it a little bit. Did you? How far did you get?
Um. Well, so I got to the second boss twice, and then this last run I beat the second boss and then got to the third boss.
Okay, nice. You got to.
Uh,
Did you get to
the
the?
two
Okay, so you did get to. Okay, cool.
the two dudes, yeah.
Yeah.
The whatever and the bull. Um, and I got there with the stupid bow. The bow seems to be the only weapon that I hate. I hate using it. It's
I
terrible.
hate it.
but I always get the best stat boosts with it. Where the one time, like the first time I got to the second boss was with the bow. And it was when I had like a doom status effect on it. So I could just shoot people and then they'd eventually get hurt again. And I was able to get things from afar. And this last time, there's this one from Dionysus,
Yeah.
Dionysus,
Something like
whatever, Dionysus, where the status effect is drunk, I think it was,
that. Yeah.
which damages them like every half a second, a certain amount, and then it'll stack.
Oh,
But it was
damn.
only with my special, and with the bow, the special is that wide sweeping attack.
Oh, yeah.
So I was just spamming the special the entire time, hitting everything in the environment, and they're trying to get to me, slowly dying. And that's how I got so far, is I could just run away and spam this one attack. And it kept going. It was one of those runs like, I don't know how this is still working, but okay, keep going. I did, and the other time actually when I had that doom on the bow, I got another ability that removed the charge from the bow, so I couldn't do the charge attack, but it made the attack super quick, and I could just hold down the button and shoot.
Yeah, I've had that one. Yeah,
That makes the bow fun.
That one does. I've had some times where I feel like I have a really good run. I'm like, man, this is such a great build, and then I get to Elysium and it fucking falls apart.
I could see that.
I have a
that.
pretty good set right now. I'm I'm maybe like halfway through Elysium right now with the gun, and it's got the chain lightning, but then the extra chain lightning that bounces off more.
Okay.
And then it even adds an additional 6 like ammo, which puts
Is
me
the
at
gun
22.
the last weapon?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and it's good. The special on it is it's like a grenade launcher. I think so I have not been able to get past the third boss, the two guys in Elysium. I got close. I got the Minotaur down, and I just couldn't get the
What's
spear
his
guy.
face? He's got like a shield,
DC,
man.
something like that. He's got a shield and a spear. So the technique I used against him was to wait for him to throw the spear and then dash behind him and try to get stab attack or backstab attacks. It's I'm still not like getting tired of the game. I'm still having such a good time with it. I think like I'll take a break from it when I have when I do really well, and then I guess I get destroyed in Elysium, and I'm like, okay, I need to take a step back, calm myself down, play something else for a little bit, because like you get all the way to Elysium, and then I'll like save because I got 2 of the Death Define things, so like 2 resurrections basically, and then you put on the 3rd with Lucky Tooth if you want, or you can have if you choose the item that you get from Dusa, then you get health items out of urns sometimes, and that helps you kind of stay healed up. And so I made it all the way to Elysium with all that intact, and sometimes you get a mid boss throughout that if you're unlucky. And I got and I thought it was going to be that orb that shoots the little butterflies or whatever, and it ended up being the Minotaur. And so he took both of my Death Defines, which usually I don't have that much trouble with them. So right away I knew, I was like, I just blew this run by losing to this guy twice. And then I beat him, and then I got all the way to the boss, and I'm like, I have half my health. I don't have any more Death Defines. I'm like, this run is fucked right here. And then I ended up taking down the Minotaur, and then I just had the spear guy, and he got one good shot at me because I had him maybe at like 70% health. But he got I missed-dashed once, and so I didn't have my second or my next dash available because I mistimed it, and he fucking speared me, and I was like, oh, damn it, that was so disheartening.
Yeah, and that's why I don't like roguelikes really. I do like this game quite a bit. I don't think it's nearly as good as people are saying, just because I don't like the roguelike setup that much. But I do enjoy the builds that come out of it, and it's almost like a MOBA where you have your abilities and it changes each time based on the match and what random drops you get.
Yeah. Well, I think as you go by, though, you can kind of start determining that by which items you start the the level width, which is nice.
Yeah, yeah. I wish it would kind of truncate itself. Like, I don't need to do 10 floors of the first area every time.
Yeah.
That's annoying. I wish I got better, like, or I did more damage or something. I don't know. I don't know what the blood's for. The
Oh,
blood you get from the first boss. I don't know what
yeah.
that's for.
So you can use it to level up your weapon. So you'll notice
But
some of the
when?
weapon.
Like, how?
So once you pick the weapon, you can go over to it and I think you can just click on it and it'll have different like level ups on it.
Oh, maybe I have to unlock all the weapons.
Maybe. Yeah, you might have to do that first. I don't
Yeah,
remember,
I need to do that
but like
because I
for
have.
the sword, like I upgraded it to where I think it does more damage when you're backstabbing. The shield, when you hold down on the shield and you do like the bull rush or whatever it's called, you
Mhm.
do an extra like 200 or 500% to people with armor if you hit them from behind. So like some of those are really
Huh.
good bonuses.
Yeah, I feel like I might. There's an option in the options
Go God mode.
for the god mode thing that just makes you stronger or something. It makes you take less damage each time you die, and I might just do that because like I don't care. I enjoy this game, but I do not want to. I don't like the start from scratch, do it all over again. There's something about it that really there's too much randomness with it.
Yeah.
Half these weapons I don't think are that great.
I just don't like the bow as much. The fists I
Oh,
haven't used as often because I'll always switch to whatever has the bonus
the
darkness.
bonus, yeah.
And
And that's why I haven't unlocked all the weapons. I keep going back to the bonus.
well, like I think for me, I think I like the spear the most and the gun, honestly.
Okay. I like the sword. The shield's okay. The spear is good. I do like the spear. I like throwing the spear and then calling it back to like start a fight.
Oh yeah, yeah.
I enjoy that quite a bit. Uh, yeah, it's fun. I think the magic system is either completely irrelevant or really cool.
Depends what you have on it.
Yeah, which I don't really. It's confusing because you get it. You start the game and it's so terrible that you almost forget it's there. And I did for a very long time. And then I had some like, oh, get this thing and it unlocks a new spell. And I'm like, why? Spells are garbage.
Yeah.
And then I kept playing, not using spells. And this last run, I actually had like a poison cloud for it. And I'm like, oh, okay,
Yeah, those are good.
this is I should have been doing stuff with this, but they don't show like that needs to be something you tell people. Like the first spell sucks ass. You need to change that.
Yeah.
And I just felt like, no, why would I bother with that? I never use it. So I never upgraded it with anything. Maybe that's why I can't beat anything. I get stuck very easily. It's a really fun game. I love the art. I love the voice acting.
Yeah.
The voice acting is incredible. I don't know what they did, but it's so good.
Have you met any of the other Harpy sisters yet?
No.
Okay.
Cool. Unless the one singing lady that's in the middle of area 2 is a harpy. I don't think so.
No, that's I forget who that is.
I only met her once.
No, well, yeah. If you keep playing it, I can't wait to hear what you think of the other Harpy sisters.
Yeah, we'll see if I get there. We'll see how until I get annoyed. Yeah.
Let's move on to Animal Crossing. I have started playing Animal Crossing again because of the fall update.
Pumpkins.
I planted a few, and the first day I think I only planted like five of the bundles or whatever.
Right.
And I got so far I have one set of green, and then the rest are all orange pumpkins.
Okay. I'm still not sure where these DIY recipes are supposed to come from because I haven't found any.
Yeah, I haven't found any yet. I got one picture frame that has like a jack-o'-lantern. I bought the Halloween arc, and then I bought the Halloween stand that has like it looks like you're handing out candy. So far I got that. But like it made me excited to get into the game again and start kind of like, oh man, there's so many things I want to do now. Like the one thing I wish Animal Crossing had was a way to just move things around easier. You know, Like, I wish I could just restructure my whole town and it just be maybe like I have it set overnight while it saves, it does it. Or something like that, you know?
Oh, I see what you're saying. Like you do a shit ton of changes, but it has to take effect.
Takes effect overnight. Yeah.
Got it. Got it.
Yeah. Or like maybe like if you're doing a huge project, like some of the island is sealed off. I don't know. Like it would just be cool to have that option instead of like I need to remove this fucking staircase so that I can take down this whole section of this mountain here. So I have to wait a day.
Yeah, no, I that makes sense. Can't argue against that. It's strange that you can only demolish one thing. Why?
Yeah.
What arbitrary rule is this?
You let me create a fucking river in the middle of town, but I can't just destroy these stairs?
I want to just make my whole town water. That's what I'll do when I quit this game. Is I will just make everything water.
You just have to hop over to everything.
And it's just houses with a single path to get away. That's the whole town. It's water world. And my dinosaur bones.
There's a lot of cool things that they're adding. I'm excited to see like the Halloween costumes that they have in the Able Sister store. I like the items that they have in Nook's Cranny. Like I've seen some cool items so far just on like the trailer. Like it's like it looks like the mailbox, but it's just like a jack-o'-lantern. I don't know. It made me excited for the game again, and then like my kids wanted to get back into it, so then I got to like watch them play, which made me get more into it because they're like asking me questions and I'm giving them tips on it. Like I don't know. It's just cool to get into that game again. Again, I just wish there was just more to do other than collecting shit and hoping, you know, I hope I find this recipe.
Sure do want that recipe.
Yep.
Yeah, I feel like on that. I got some pumpkins going. That's about it. I mean, it's not that exciting yet. And once I get recipes and stuff happens, it's funny. I wonder if they rearranged this or redid something with this based on the egg disaster.
Yeah.
Because I kind of, at least when I was getting eggs, I felt like I was getting recipes and stuff was happening. I was getting way too many eggs, but I was getting stuff that was relevant to what I wanted to do. Now I just have pumpkins growing, and I'm not quite sure what that means.
Yeah. I wish they made it easier to get rid of villagers. I think that's one complaint I still have is like I want new villagers in. I want to like meet new villagers, and I still have all these fuckers from the beginning that won't leave. How do I get them to
only
leave?
one. I think only one can leave per month or something.
Get out of here with these rules, Animal Crossing. You're killing me.
Yeah, it used to be a lot easier to lose people, and they would just leave. Now you have to talk to them. So when I hadn't played in a couple months, and I went back and I talked to this stupid chicken person, I don't care. Immediately they were like, "Hey, I'm thinking I'm leaving." I'm like, "Good, see ya."
I think your chicken person came to my island.
These chicken people suck. All the chicken people are garbage.
I just have really creepy looking birds on my island, and I don't want them there anymore.
I want these stupid ass birds. There is a way. I think you can talk to Isabel and be like, "Hey, I got concerns about a villager," and I think you can go that way and make them leave.
Maybe. I know with some of those, it's only to like reset their clothing or reset the things they say.
Reset their memories, make them just amnesiac.
Pretty sure that's what it is. They're supposed to have a free update late November too, which is gonna be most likely like the Christmas update or whatever.
I'm excited for that too. I'm excited for snow.
I think I missed out on so many like fish and bugs, which will come around, next year, obviously, or
whatever.
Year, but that's one thing I was excited to do when I played that game, and I feel like if I maybe do that while I'm playing, like it'll kind of get me back into the game. I think I'll watch people play the game and I'll see these cool fucking setups somewhere, and it makes me want to like get back into the game, and then like I get in and I'm like, it's so much work to do this. Why don't they make it easier? I just want to move this fucking house.
It's really inconvenient, a lot of the features. Yeah. A lot of the features are actively designed to make you feel slow.
To make me feel like I want to throw a controller.
Yeah, that's the thing. I'm like, I'm here for the pumpkins, and if I chop a couple trees down, so be it.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah,
I'm not. I'm I'm not hitting all the rocks. Yeah, I'm not. No, I'm hitting the rocks just to make some money so I can buy that thing that's at the store. That's it.
yeah, yeah,
And there
yeah,
were so many weeds. Oh my god, the first day back was just weed
yeah,
day.
yeah. Same,
It was a
same.
lot, like a forest of weeds.
Cool. Give you a quick update on my near
Oh yeah, yeah,
playthroughs. I'm like what part am I on? It's hard to tell sometimes, but
yeah.
it's after you start regaining your memories back. I'm on the second playthrough, so I'm playing as 9S, and so I'm on the part after the huge explosion where you went through the maze to start regaining your memories, and you went through and checked your visual diagnostics and weird little part. But I'm starting to get like different cutscenes and things like that I'm noticing. I'm like,
Okay, yeah,
oh, this is
yeah.
telling me a different story. So I'm keeping going there. The game doesn't feel as long as I thought it would, because I feel
No,
like I'm getting through this shit pretty quickly. Like
and
I
you
really
should
only played
be.
maybe like an hour or so, and I feel like I got through a lot of that game. It was nice to get back into the groove of that combat, because the combat is great, and there was things I didn't do in my first playthrough that I'm doing in this playthrough. Like I switched one of the for the gun turret guy that follows you around. I switched the L1. Instead of it being like a laser that shoots out, it's like a giant hammer that just like slams, which was fucking cool. Which I was like, I didn't know you could change these up to be something different. I was like, that's awesome.
I think I had missiles for a while.
So you can have missiles as like what you hold down for R1, but when you
Oh, but
hit
then it's
L1, it
auto
does the
attack.
special, right? L1 is the
Okay, okay.
special. And so I hit it, and it used to shoot this like laser directly at your target. Now it's almost like what am I thinking of? Green Lantern with the giant hammer that comes out of nowhere. He like just creates this hammer like a hologram
Sure.
out of it and slams the enemy. This thing it does that, and it like just annihilates people. So it's pretty
Hmm.
cool. Pretty cool. Yeah, I'm getting into it. I'm loving the
Yeah,
combat
rush
again.
to the end. Rush to the end.
I'm rushing. No, I'm not
Go, go, go,
rushing,
go.
but I'm rushing.
Got
Yeah,
it.
yeah. Yeah. Other than that, I don't. There's like a couple other things that I'm playing, but I'm just kind of like nitpicking at them as I go. I got the platinum on Ghost of Tsushima finally. It's
Yay.
actually not bad. It's pretty
That was
nice.
a good plan.
Good platinum, pretty easy. I think the only trophy I had a hard time with was kicking someone off a ledge, and that was only because I didn't realize you had to do that like until after I'd already completed and liberated everything. So I just had to look for so I
Oh.
just started visiting the cemeteries, because I figured those are usually near a ledge and there's always enemies there. So I went up to one, and there's, of course, I just throw the firecrackers to get everybody to one side. The one archer guy is sitting there by the ledge. I walk over, I give him a good fucking kick in the face, and he goes flying off and dies from fall damage, and I get the trophy, and boom.
There you go. I
Yeah.
feel like I got that trophy on accident, so
I don't know
I
how
don't
I
know.
have. I
Yeah.
don't know how I didn't come across it.
I
Like,
never
it's
even
really weird.
kicked people, so I don't. I must have just got it completely randomly. I don't know.
Maybe. Yeah, I feel like I kicked a lot of people. Maybe just like not near cliffs, I guess.
Yeah, I don't even think you need to kick them. I think they just need to have fall
Yeah, they
damage
just
and
need to
die.
die from fall damage. But like, really, the
Okay,
only way, like, without constantly like killing them, I guess you can maybe blow them up and they go flying off as long as they don't die.
maybe that might have been how I did it.
Yeah. Anyways,
Yep.
anything else you want to add? Any other games you're playing or thinking about playing
No,
this week?
that's enough. No, I'm gonna play Hades and maybe Genshin Impact, and that's about it. I don't.
Cool.
I'm taking a break from that Mario Sunshine Hell Pit.
Nice. All right.
Yeah.
I continue to play Teamfight Tactics. It's really good. I just made it to silver, so I ranked out of bronze. It was a rough go at first, but then I've been placing at least second in most of my matches, and just really having a good time with that fucking game.
But
It's
how
so
many
good.
people are in the matches?
You start. It's always what is it? It's always 8 people, so you're fighting against 8 people
Okay,
in your same rank, and
got it.
um and everyone, like, the thing with this game, because everyone already knows the best comps to play and like what items you need and stuff like that. The RNG and knowing how to adapt is the only way you're gonna win that game. So even though everyone knows what's the best team to put together and the best items, like there's still strategy when it comes to playing that game, because there's carousels every round where you grab an item and you use that item to combine it to create a better item so that it makes your character stronger. So every round you have a chance to basically ruin somebody's team by making your team better. And so it's always that like, and there's strategy involved, because if you're losing each round, then you're lower when it comes to HP, which means you go sooner on the carousel. So there's strategy to losing, and then there's strategy to winning, because you're not losing as much HP, which means if you have a strong team or not a strong team, then like you're lasting longer in the match. So it's just like this crazy ass dynamic in this game that I really love. And just the new set is just like insane, and the graphics on it, like all the visuals that they added were amazing. So, loving that game. Yay. Anyways, I think we've gone long enough. Ben, is there any last thing you want to add video game wise?
No.
Anything we should be on the lookout for this coming week?
What is anything happening this week?
I don't know. Any
No.
Any press conferences? Nothing.
No.
Another Ubisoft
I think
thing? Who knows? I don't know.
Well, I was gonna say this week should be quiet, but probably not. So
something will happen.
Well, none of this news we had this week we would have assumed would have happened.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. But, it's there for us anyways. All right, well, that's going to be it for this week's episode of Final Checkpoint. Thanks again for all the listens, all the people, following and
listening,
sharing the podcast. We, of course, would appreciate if you'd share this podcast with your friends, help spread the word of this little podcast that can every week. Remember to catch us live on twitch.tv/loadlastcheckpoint, 8 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. And you can be part of the show by suggesting topics or submitting questions in chat, or by emailing us.
Or
what?
Starting a meme.
Or starting a meme on Twitter, or emailing us over at finalcheckpointpod@gmail.com. Gamefly, if you're looking to have, maybe sponsor a podcast, Ben loves you guys. And so gladly,
your best fan.
Take a sponsorship. Anyways, that's going to do it for us this week. Thanks again, everybody, and we will catch you guys next week. Goodbye.
Meh.